He's still got the troops to do it. He's just going to have to. Oh, he does manage to take out one lurker. Comsat taking out the second lurker. Still two lurkers left. Third lurker goes down. Only one lurker remaining. That secondary still stands. He's going to lose the Comsat station, but not much else. And the starport also not going to go down. So it looks like Artosis is actually, and he still has this roving band of attack units, which he's camping that bottom right hand corner. So it looks like he's going to actually win this match with some beautiful defense. This is where he plays very strong. Looks like he's trying to keep that machine shop alive. Is successful in doing so, and he's got another comsat to work with to take this final lurker out. Let's see more lurkers actually coming in. I think Artosis can lift this and really move out after not too much longer. Make sure you can kind of push out a couple Scourge running up, and this is if Incontrol is going to win the game. This is how he's got to do it. He's going to have some troop movement problems though. Artosis blocking off that secondary. Still a lot of siege tanks to the north. Looks like the siege tech went up, killed, trying to get that comsat station up so he can get one more comsat before lifting his command center again. Let's see if he does manage to get it off before it ends up dying. It's going to get the siege tank in position first, it looks like. Comsat, one lurker left, moving out to the north, having his command center hit as well. Queen's Nest, so I was actually, wow, I can't believe I've thought of that. So Queen's Nest going to hive, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a queen in the mix to at least try to keep that command center down, but it looks like it's going to be 2-hatch hive, and honestly with Artosis' troop count, I don't think Incontrol is really going to be able to work with this build, and finally getting that bunker out to the front. Zergling's moving out towards the front door, losing some troops here. Going to lose at least a lurker and backing off. Nice movement there, nice control. Losing 2 medics unfortunately, and that was just unlucky because of that that temple thingy. I don't know what to call that. That doodad in the way. But Artosis in a very nice position. He's resecured his secondary. He lost a significant amount of mining time, but he's still isolated Incontrol to 2 bases. Incontrol hasn't been able to get his third gas. The question is will he be able to work against the Devourers, or I'm sorry, the Defilers, which should be out as soon as that hive's done. So it's going to be a Lurkerling all-in attack off hive. I think Incontrol will have another shot at this, but Artosis pretty well has his 2 bases secured. He's still got an army kind of running out here to deny that additional expansion. Looks like Incontrol is going to try to take that bottom right. You can see how low he is, how desperate he is for gas. Already has that level 1 carapace, so actually going back to his bread and butter now after transitioning for that early all-in attack, but able to balance things out pretty well, I have to say. Not doing too shabby as far as recovery at all. Still in this match, by no means out of this match, and that starport finally down, finally with that science facility, maybe get a science vessel out. As soon as he can get that second science vessel, he'll be in a good position to push. Looks like he's content to deny that 3 o'clock and is going to comsat otherwise to try to check out what's going on in the rest of the field. Incontrol kind of in a precarious position. I think he might be worried about Artosis moving out off his front, although I don't think that's a move Artosis will typically do. But he also needs to worry about reinforcing that bottom right-hand corner, especially with those siege tanks in the mix. He has to play this very, very carefully, reinforce the attack when it comes, and it looks like he is in a position to do so. It's now a race to that ramp. I think he is going to get there first. He's already actually got 2 lurkers there, and Artosis running headlong into them, losing his army, which hurts a lot. Looks like he's got a single marine hanging out there, and is just going to have to, attack. Ooh, does manage to take out a lurker, and does not manage to get a marine out there. They're running for their lives, not able to get it done. We do have a queen, a queen running around, so nice heads-up maneuver there by Incontrol. Was hoping that command center was still burning. Unfortunately, it was not, so he's not going to get the easy pick in that way. Maybe he can still, maybe still get an ensnare. He looks like he's still waiting. Doesn't look like he's upgrading it. Still waiting on consume, and going to go in, press in one more time. He's got the lurkers, he's got the lings, he's going to have the swarm. A lot of siege tanks on the corner, only a single fire bat otherwise, and with that bunker on the front, this is still pretty solid. He needs to have those tanks resieged though, because one solid swarm here, this is kind of a bad movement situation. He has nowhere to back up from. He needs to get that irradiate first, and if the lurkers if there's a good swarm, a good lurker, you could lose this entire army without really being able to counter at all. But before that, looks like Artosis is going to move out with just the single science vessel. Just going to move out with that single science vessel, the large grouping of tanks, engage this force before it's really in position, and those siege tanks do range those lurkers as long as you keep them back. Looks like he's going to end up losing 1 siege tank to this, but moving out with a very large army. Looks like, and having to expend that swarm on the front. Which is kind of devastating. He really wants to use that more for a defensive position. This is kind of at an in-between position out in the field. His lurker's somewhat exposed. It looks like Irradiate not quite upgraded, so he can protect them somewhat. Still looks like a lot of siege tanks out in the mix. Lurkers moving up. I'm not sure that was a wise siege position. You might end up losing a lot of these tanks. Does lose a couple of these tanks. Getting a little bit greedy with a pick there. The Lurker's now making a dash for the front. Mines being planted. That's a nice, clever kind of counter to this for Artosis. Get the mines down. Didn't get them down in time, though, especially with the lack. It looks like he is going to be able to take out the defilers before the swarms are really in all that devastating a position. Going to lose that bunker, but Incontrol is going to have to hold his attack there otherwise, and Artosis is free to actually press down right on Incontrol's main, and I don't think he has enough to hold it back. He's got, what, 3-something colonies, a couple of Lurkers. Yeah, he's going to have to use some clever swarm to kind of finish this otherwise. The mines being planted, Zerglings clearing, and it looks like one Lurker does manage to get underneath, but the Marines should be able to take care of those other 2 Lurkers before he ends up suffering any economic damage. Does, in fact, actually lost more Marines than I thought he would. Otherwise, he does have Armor 1, so I'm wondering if Spines 1 is upgraded here for Incontrol. So let's see. I'll have to wait until they're burrowed, of course. Does have the Scourge in the air. It's really going to be critical that he can snipe that science vessel, especially with the radiates that could come pouring out. And this is kind of an interesting situation for Artosis. Looks like he is going to start pushing to that bottom right. I was thinking, well, if he camps out to that center, I don't really think he really wants to be in a situation where he kind of camps out there and gets an attack. He might just want to leave his tanks on siege, deal with the attack troops as he goes, but instead going to move to that bottom right-hand corner, leave his front door, the front door open. Incontrol doesn't look like he was prepared for this attack, and he does not have the defenses to deal with this. Just Zerglings. He can A-move right into this and kill this expansion very easily, and now Incontrol has no other option but just to throw everything he has at the front. I don't see any overlords to deal with these mines, and I don't see any Zerglings running across the front. Looks like he's just going to plant a Lurker trap. I think he realizes that it would have been a bad situation to do so. Still, it looks like the Queen actually kind of moving around. I'm kind of curious what he's up to with that. Maybe he did get an upgrade here and there. At the very least, he could maybe get a Parasite off. See where that science vessel is headed here and there. At least get it in the mix, make sure it wasn't a complete waste of resources. But Artosis in an excellent position now, can easily starve out Incontrol. Incontrol's not going to have the gas to work this Ultralisk Cavern at all. He's only got 300 gas right now, let alone producing the defensives to keep Artosis back into the mid game. Artosis being a little bit late on taking an expansion, because right now he could take an expansion fairly easily. Not doing so, the Vulture's able to stop the Zerglings before they're really able to push forward and do any sort of mine clearing, and now he's moving that large army out in position. He's got a significant supply lead, I would assume. Nice Parasite. So at the very least, he can keep an eye on that troop count and maybe kind of gauge things. You can see 65 supply versus 140, the worst situation you can be in as a Zerg player. I guess 0 supply is the worst situation. But losing that Queen as well. But I still think it was useful. It got that Parasite off. Didn't get the command center like it wanted, but it was a good thought. A lot of Scourge, a couple Lurkers here and there, and more Defilers than really he can use on the front. Running headlong into a Lurker field, chasing that Defiler a little bit too aggressively. Did get a Plague off, so he's going to be able to weaken those tanks somewhat. Looks like one thing for Artosis, though, he tends not to protect his science vessels very well, tends to extend them a little too far out and take some damage as a result. I would say it's probably, if I was going to say a big weakness in his play, that would be it. Not taking a third still. Looks like he's just planning on ending the game. He really doesn't need to at this stage, to be completely honest, but it still might be safe. Instead, it looks like he's just going to camp some troops out to the left-hand corner, wait until he can max out, get a good supply upgrade, get a good science vessel force out, and then as soon as he feels comfortable, end it from there. He is building a command center at the 9 o'clock position to float out. It's a couple Zerglings there to the bottom right, another science vessel taken out. Let's see if these Lurkers get aggressive, realizing the science vessel count's low. And Incontrol just trying to save up what he can, get a couple Ultralisks in the mix, but I still don't think, looks like he has 2, but even with 3 Ultralisks against the heavily... Ooh, never mind. Just still level 2 weapons. Artosis, level 2 almost along the way. But without the upgrades there, yeah, I don't think Incontrol is really going to be able to press any sort of attacks. And also the supply difference is just going to be too great. The siege tanks are just going to punish those Ultralisks as well, should they run in position. Looks like that bottom right-hand corner already canceled off a comsat even. More science vessels running out forward. Now an attack running. He's going to be able to get some of these siege tanks fairly easily and be able to clear them a little bit, but otherwise all the Defilers getting immediately irradiated. This is still a large group of Medic Marines. Should easily be able to handle the 3 Ultralisks, considering they're not speed upgraded and they do not have any swarm. Should get a lot of Medic Marine kills, so that might keep Artosis back for a little while. But ultimately, I expect a GG as soon as these Zerglings and these Ultralisks are cleared out from Incontrol. He knows he's back into a corner. He knows that was kind of his last hope. This is all the supply he has. It really makes a skeleton crew as far as a defense force, let alone an attack force. I just don't think he's in a position to win this game. Does not have map control to any degree. Still trying to press out and gain a little bit of it, but not happening. At the very least, he does have that level 3 Carapace. So he could swing an upgrade advantage, a slight upgrade advantage fairly quickly, but just the supply count difference is absolutely